The room is 41 floors up, floor-to-ceiling glass. The city below looks like a circuit board. 12 people sit around a mahogany table that cost more than most people's cars. There's a printed agenda in front of you that no one is following. The CFO just said a number $2.3 billion and didn't blink. Someone is talking about restructuring 3 divisions. 14,000 jobs. You're nodding. Not because you agree, because at this level, the nod is its own language. You have a car you didn't choose, an assistant who manages your calendar like it's a national resource, a salary that stopped mattering to you 2 years ago because the number has no real world anymore. This is the room. This is where the gravity is the highest. You didn't start here. You are 22 years old. You are making $18 an hour, maybe, if you're in finance, $25. You are working for a company with 4,000 employees that generates $870 million in annual revenue, and you understand approximately none of it. You have a badge that says Intern in a font slightly smaller than everyone else's. It is Tuesday. You have refilled the paper tray. You have been in 3 meetings where no one introduced you. You built a spreadsheet at 9 p.m. because someone needed it by morning, and you told yourself this is how it works. This is paying dues. Someone senior takes you to coffee. They say the same things everyone says. Stay curious. Speak up. It's all about who you know. You write it down in a notebook you bought specifically for this job. You still believe the notebook matters. The defining moment comes on a Thursday. You see something wrong in a deck. You know it's wrong. You say nothing because you are an intern, and the wrong thing is on slide 34 of 60, and the meeting starts in 4 minutes. You say nothing, and something starts. Something quiet. A calculus you don't have a name for yet. The math of what it costs to speak and what it costs to stay silent. You start learning which costs are cheaper. You have been here 14 months. You make $67,000. You have a desk that is actually yours and a chair that still gives you back problems. You work at a company with 1,200 people and $340 million in revenue. You know what the business does now. You understand the org chart, at least the part below you which is currently empty. Tuesday looks like this. 3 Slack channels, 2 Zoom calls with cameras on, 1 with cameras off because the manager is driving. You are building the model someone else will present. You are proofreading the deck someone else will narrate. Your name is not on it. This is normal. They told you this was normal. The moment that costs you something. There's credit for a project you ran it, you stayed late. You fixed the bug at 11:47 on a Friday night, and in the all-hands recap, a director mentions the team. Just the team. You watch your name not appear in a slide for the work you built. You feel something you don't have the emotional vocabulary for yet. Not quite anger, not quite resignation. Something in between that has no name but a very specific flavor. You start performing for the camera instead of for the work. You didn't decide to. It just happened. And you don't notice it yet because the performance and the work still look almost the same. You manage 4 people now. Technically manage. You were the best individual contributor, so they gave you this. Nobody trained you. They handed you a title and a bi-weekly check-in with a manager who has 17 other things to worry about. Your company has 600 people. Revenue is $180 million. Your salary is $88,000 plus a bonus structure you've never fully hit. You have a recurring meeting on Thursday afternoons called Team Sync that costs the company $340 in salaries per hour and produces, on average, 1 action item. Tuesday. You are doing your old job, plus 4 other people's coordination, plus your manager's asks, plus a hiring interview for a role you're not sure you actually need yet. You eat lunch at your desk. This is not the exception. This is Tuesday. The moment that costs you. One of your 4 people is underperforming. You know it. They know it. You have given feedback twice, once in a one-on-one, once in a quarterly review, and both times you softened it. Because you like this person. Because you are not trained for this. Because the conversation is uncomfortable and the path forward is unclear and it's easier to manage around them. 6 months pass. Nothing changes. You write a performance improvement plan that you write like an apology. Something calcifies. Your empathy doesn't disappear, but it starts wearing armor. You start to separate the person from the outcome. Not all the way, but some. You notice it later. in a different conversation with a different person. The armor shows up without being summoned. Now you have 11 direct reports and 2 skip levels and a headcount budget of $1.4 million. You are responsible for a function that directly touches $22 million in revenue. Your salary is $115,000. You have a title on LinkedIn that finally sounds like something. Tuesday. Your calendar is 74% meetings. The remaining 26% is email about the meetings. Somewhere in the gaps, you are supposed to think strategically. You do not always get to think strategically. You get to react strategically, which is a different thing. You have now sat in the room where someone's job was eliminated. Not just restructured, eliminated. You helped build the recommendation. You presented it to your director with data. The data was correct. The decision was sound. The person did not deserve it in any human sense. They were adequate, maybe even good, but the function was redundant after the acquisition, and the math was the math. You signed the documentation. HR handled the conversation. You sent a LinkedIn message afterward that took you 45 minutes to write. What changes inside you isn't guilt. The guilt is manageable. What changes is something harder to name. The moment you realize that systems require decisions that individuals would never make alone. And you are now part of the system. You consented to this. The paycheck was the consent. You stop asking whether things are fair. You start asking whether they're defensible. These are not the same question. 340 direct and indirect reports. A travel budget. A reserved parking spot that you use twice a week because the other 3 days you're working from hotel rooms in cities you can't always keep straight on Tuesday mornings. The company, 8,000 employees, $1.9 billion in revenue. You are responsible for a profit and loss line of $47 million. Your total compensation is $195,000, including equity that vests in tranches across 4 years so that leaving always costs you something. The leaving always costs you something is not an accident. Tuesday. You spend 40 minutes in a governance review, explaining a decision your team made 3 weeks ago to stakeholders who weren't involved when you made it, and who have opinions now, because the quarter looks different. You explain it calmly. You use data. You do not say what you're thinking, which is that the decision was correct, and the second guessing is theater. You learned this. You learned to separate what you think from what you say in a meeting, and to treat the gap between those two things as professional competence rather than dishonesty. The moment that defines this level, your name appears in a slide deck you didn't write, for a presentation you didn't attend, about a strategy you've never formally seen. Someone referenced your team's work as a success story in an executive briefing. You hear about it third hand, from someone who was in the room. Your first instinct is pride. Your second instinct is unsettling. You are becoming known in rooms you've never entered, and you do not know yet whether that is a thing to want. You oversee a function of 90 people. Your salary is $240,000. Bonus at target adds $60,000. Equity on top of that. You have a chief of staff who is, functionally, a second brain running at 70% of your capacity, and it is the best investment the company has ever made on your behalf. The company. $4.2 billion in revenue, 22,000 employees worldwide. You are one of 31 directors. Tuesday. You spend your morning in an operating review with 2 vice presidents and a CFO who is in Singapore on a screen the size of a cafeteria tray. You give an update on a metric that has moved 1.7% in the wrong direction. You have a prepared narrative for why. The narrative is accurate. The prepared part is the part you don't mention. The cost. You are in a relationship, a good one. And your partner mentioned last Sunday, without drama, without accusation, just as a statement of fact, that you haven't been fully present in 6 months. They didn't say, since the promotion. They didn't have to. You said you'd do better. You meant it when you said it. You also have an operating review on Tuesday, and a board prep session on Thursday, and a cross-functional offsite the week after. And something in you has quietly, without a formal meeting or a decision, reprioritized. Not maliciously, not consciously, just functionally. Like a system allocating resources to the highest urgency queue. You stop checking if you're happy, not because you're unhappy. Because the question takes bandwidth you no longer have to spare. Your calendar is a weapon now. Someone manages it for you like a military operation. You have 7 direct reports, who are themselves managers of managers. The chain beneath you has 400 people in it. You will never know most of their names. $340,000 salary. $85,000 target bonus. Equity worth $1.2 million over 4 years if the stock holds. The stock does not always hold. The company is public. $9 billion in revenue. You are on the operating committee. You attend the quarterly earnings prep. You know things about the company's performance 3 weeks before the market does, and this is both a responsibility and a kind of weight you carry differently than you expected. Tuesday. 2 one-on-ones with directors who are managing crises you'll never fully understand at ground level because you are too far up to see the texture. You ask good questions. They give you good summaries. You make decisions based on summaries of realities you cannot directly access. This is the first moment you understand that leadership, at scale, is an epistemological problem. You are working with maps. The territory is always different from the map, and the gap between them widens every quarter. The defining cost: an employee you hired 3 years ago, one of your best leaves. Not for money. They tell you, in a thoughtful exit interview you read in a PDF summary, that they didn't feel seen, that their manager's manager's manager, which is you, felt theoretical. Theoretical. You read that word and you sit with it for longer than you'd like to admit. You are in the room now. Not every room, but the rooms that matter. $490,000 base. Total comp touches $1.8 million in a good year. You have been written about in a trade publication. You were quoted accurately. You approved the quote. The company, $17 billion in revenue, 60,000 employees across 14 countries. You oversee a division of 2,300 people. Your decisions affect supply chains, real estate, headcount across 3 continents. You have a risk committee. You have a legal team. You have a communications team that reviews everything before it goes external. Tuesday, board committee prep in the morning. Regulatory review at noon. A town hall for your division at 3 p.m. where 2,300 people are waiting to hear from you about the restructuring. You have talking points. They are true. They are not complete. They cannot be complete. Not yet. Legal has not cleared the complete version. You deliver the incomplete version. You do it without hesitation because you understand now that information has stages and timing, and that releasing it wrong costs more than releasing it late. This is not cynicism. This is how systems protect themselves. Something that happened at level 4, you realize it now, was the first note of this song. You just couldn't hear the melody yet. The cost is this. You are good at this, genuinely good at it, and you no longer know if the person who is good at this is the person you were going to be. You don't ask that question out loud, but it visits you, usually on Sundays, usually around 6 p.m. There are now 11 people in the country who understand what your Tuesday actually is. Your name is in the proxy statement. You have a security detail when you travel internationally. Your compensation, salary, bonus, equity, benefits total $6.4 million in the most recent disclosed year. You have a financial advisor, an estate attorney, and a wealth management team that meets quarterly. $38 billion in revenue, 130,000 employees. You are responsible for the operational or financial reality of a company the size of a mid-sized country's GDP. Tuesday, you sit across from an activist investor who has acquired 6.2% of the company and has 4 very specific things they want changed about how you run it. You listen. You take notes. The notes are for your counsel and your board prep, not for acting on. You have thought through their position already. It is not wrong. It is also not compatible with the 5-year strategy the board approved 18 months ago. You will need to hold both truths at once for the next several quarters. The defining moment. You approved a restructuring that eliminated 4,000 jobs. You modeled it. You wargamed it. You stress-tested the alternatives. You presented it to the board with a clear head and a clean conscience, because the data supported it, and the long-term survival of the remaining 126,000 jobs required it. You believe this. You believed it when you signed it. You believe it now. And yet, you remember the name of one person. Not because you knew them, because an email landed in your inbox misdirected, meant for HR, and it happened to be from someone whose name you happened to read before you realized it wasn't for you. You remember the name. You don't know why. You've stopped asking why. Every room goes quiet when you enter it. Not because of you, because of what you represent. The difference is important, and almost no one at this level has actually reconciled it. Your base salary is $1.5 million. Your total comp with performance equity, long-term incentives, and other arrangements exceeds $24 million in disclosed compensation last year. You are covered. You are comfortable. Those words don't apply anymore. You are in a category of financial reality that requires different vocabulary. The company, $54 billion in revenue, 210,000 employees. You answer to a board of 12. You are accountable to 4.3 million shareholders. Every word you say publicly moves a number somewhere. You have accepted this as the ambient condition of your existence. Tuesday, you are in Washington, a regulatory briefing. Then, a call with your counterpart at a European competitor about a partnership that may or may not restructure your core business model. Then a call with your chief people officer about a situation involving an executive in Asia that requires your direct attention and your discretion, and 3 lawyers in 2 time zones. Then you fly home. You are in your house by 11 p.m. Your children are asleep. There are drawings on the refrigerator. One of them says DAD in uneven letters. You stand in the kitchen for 4 minutes. This is the entire cost. 4 minutes in a kitchen, in a house you can easily afford, looking at drawings from children who are healthy and provided for in every material sense. And knowing that the 4 minutes is the thing you came home for, and that tomorrow you'll be in Tokyo, and that the 4 minutes, this exact weight of it, will not be waiting for you when you return. You don't trade it back. That's the part no one tells you. You wouldn't trade it, but you'd like someone to know that you noticed. You are no longer in the building every day. You are somewhere above the building, a vantage point without a title that sounds like work. Chairman, you attend 12 meetings a year. You receive briefings. You have opinions that other people act on without those opinions being called orders. Your net worth is $340 million. You think about this number in the abstract now, the way you used to think about geography. It's real. You know it's real, but it doesn't change what you eat for breakfast. You chair the committee that decides whether the CEO, someone you hired, someone you believe in, survives the quarter. You hold this lightly. You've learned that power held tightly becomes a different thing. You hold it lightly and sleep fine, and this is either wisdom or its opposite, and you've made your peace with not knowing which. Tuesday, you read the board pack. You make 2 phone calls. You have lunch with a former senator. You write 2 paragraphs for a memoir you've been writing for 6 years and may never publish. What you think about, more than anything, is not the decisions, not the restructurings, or the acquisitions, or the years you spent in Tokyo and Singapore and Frankfurt, not the stock price, not the compensation. You think about the moments you cannot locate anymore. The Tuesday in 1997 when you stayed late and built a spreadsheet and told yourself it would be worth it. Was it Tuesday? You can't find Tuesday anymore. You can find the arc, the long shape of it, the trajectory, but the specific Tuesdays have dissolved. The system rewarded exactly what it said it would reward. You got everything you negotiated for. The terms were clear. You signed. You just didn't know what the fine print was written in. Somewhere in the lobby right now, a badge printer is warming up. A 22-year-old is checking their phone, fixing their collar, taking a breath before the revolving door. They've practiced their introduction 3 times on the subway. They have a notebook, a good one. They believe the notebook matters. They don't know yet what the system rewards. They don't know yet what the system costs. They will. The elevator is waiting.